I have spent 1 week with this ESP EC-10 and it's a great time for me to provide you my review and opinion about this scooter, and hopefully at the end of this video you can decide if this scooter is for you or if it's not for you. So let's get started. You can see the structure of this review over there, and you can use the timestamps and time codes of this video to jump to the section you want to see. We will start with the overview of the scooter. Let's now look closer at this LTD EC-10. This body has black gloss finish. It gathers stains from your fingers, for example, like crazy. It is annoying in my opinion, but it's not an game breaker, and overall this shiny gloss look that this body has, I'm not a huge fan of it, but it comes down to our personal preferences when we are talking about looks. This scooter has a nice contour which will fit nicely against your belly, and I think that this is always a nice thing on a scooter if you don't want to vintage scooter. Vintage scooters usually don't have contours, and this kind of connects you with the scooter and you can feel the vibration of the scooter. It's kind of cool, and the edges of the body are also different from the more original looking Les Pauls, and I'm not a huge fan of this choice either. And this three-way switch, it kind of has this original Les Paul feel on it, but it doesn't have the text, treble and rhythm text, and these tone and volume knobs, I don't like how these look with a Les Paul. Personally, I would want to change these as soon as possible. And then nice looking and stable bridge and the stop bar. I have no complaints about these. The pickups are kind of budget pickups in my opinion, but these are solid for the price and can handle metal very well. Especially when I look at the price of this scooter, I think that these pickups are great. Then the engineered hardwood fretboard, and I don't really like the feel of it, but on the other hand I like the frets of this scooter. I think that these extra jumbo frets are great for playing some riffs and even faster solos. And then the headstock, it's kind of basic single top headstock, but the shiny gloss finish and this LTD logo make this headstock look a little bit cheap. And then the tuners, one of the best features of this scooter, really high quality tuners for the price. This scooter stays tuned very well in my opinion. And then the neck and especially the backside of it, it has a satin finish and I really like it. The looks of it and also the feels of it, it's really smooth and you can play fast with it if you want. And the neck shape of this is thin U and it feels kind of chunky, but it is definitely not too big for my small hands. I really like the feel of this neck, it's really great, but the fretboard is not so great in my opinion. And here you can see the bolted neck, and I think that it's solid for this price point. It's well attached. And now it's time to look at the inside of the back plate. It had some kind of a dust inside the back plate, it doesn't really matter, and you can see that this has some extra wiring, not as much as with Epiphone Les Paul Special Vintage Edition, but if you want to change the knobs, I think that you have enough wiring to do so with these original wires. And all the solderings, they look solid, well attached, everything looks great, and the work around the switch is also maybe a little bit cleaner made than with the Epiphone Special Vintage Edition. And I also measured the resistance of the pickups, and the last video with the Epiphone Special Vintage Edition I made a little mistake because I said that I was measuring the output, but it really was the resistance of the pickups. And here you can see first the neck pickup, then the middle position with both pickups on, and then with the bridge pickup on, and all seems to work correctly. but this resistance can give you some idea about how much output your quitter has. This resistance indicates how many wraps of wire you have around the coils of your quitter's pickup, and when there are more wraps of wire, your pickups will generate higher voltage. And then a little bit about the uneven frets of this quitter. This has some uneven frets, for example, between the first and third fret. The second fret seems to be a little bit lower, and then the 10th, 11th and 12th fret also seems to be a little bit lower than the rest. But I have not experienced any fret buzz issues with this quitter. Now the looks of this quitter. This is the least important section for you, because probably you won't care what I think about the looks of this, but I'm going to reveal my opinion about this anyway. So, the black, it always suits quitter, in my opinion, but the shiny gloss finish, it's not quite what I like. And especially this finish, it gathers stains and fingerprints like crazy. You have to be ready to wipe this thing a lot if you want to keep it clean and nice looking. So that's definitely a con in my books, look-wise. The fretboard, it looks a little bit cheap in my opinion, and headstock too. It looks cheap, and the LTD logo there, it doesn't look good in my opinion. But maybe some other color of the neck would fit this black body better. Still, I think that this neck looks great. And these knobs, I don't like the look of these. Switch, okay. Bridge and tilepiece, great. I would rate the looks of this quitter 3.5 out of 5. Then the hardware, and especially the hardware quality. And I'm not including electronics on this one. For me, it's pretty hard to say anything bad about the hardware used with this quitter. All the bridge, tailpiece, knobs, especially the tuners, great. Body woods for the price, I have no complaints. Base wood is, in my opinion, great option for budget metal quitter. I would rate the hardware of this quitter, keeping the price of this axe in mind, 5 out of 5. Then the electronics. The pickups are kind of budget pickups, and I think that the fact that the ESP doesn't include these pickups on any other more expensive quitters at the moment tells that these are probably the cheapest to manufacture for them, and that's why these are included with this budget quitter. The quality of the electronics, it's still okay. These work well, and all the solderings on the backside, as I revealed for you, great. All is well attached, and the work around the switch was also cleaner than with the Epiphone. I would rate the electronics of this quitter 3.8 out of 5. Then the build of this quitter. This quitter really has only one con build-wise for me. This has some uneven frets. The second fret is lower than the first and the third, and then around the 10th and the 12th fret there are some uneven frets too. But these didn't cause any fret buzz for me or any other problems. But maybe if you would make the action lower, you could face some fret buzz issues, but you can expect uneven frets from this quitter if you buy it. But for me, it didn't cause any real problems. And this quitter has a slightly sharper edges of the fretboard and frets than the Epiphone had, so that's the small con build-wise too. I would rate the build quality of this quitter 3.7 out of 5. Then the playability of this axe. The body, even though it's a little bit bigger than Les Pauls usually, it still feels nice against your body, and you have this nice contour over here, and also fret access over here, and the upper fret access is a little bit better than with the Epiphone. Especially if you want to shred with your budget Les Paul, this is a great option playability wise. But this fretboard, even though we are not meant to press the fretboard, we should press the strings. But for example, if I do some pull-ups, I can feel the fretboard. And fretboard is kind of smooth, but it feels a little bit cheap or plastic-like in my opinion. But it's not a big con in my box. And then the neck, this satin neck, it feels great. I think this is really nice feeling neck, and the thin U shape also, it's really nice. And also the shorter scale length, I really like that, especially for my small hands and weak hands. The less string tension is always a plus. And these extra jumbo frets make playing leads especially quite effortless in my opinion. And playability wise also, this guitar has quite rough edges, especially on the frets, sharper than with the Epiphone Les Paul. That didn't bother me too much, but yeah, these are pretty rough when you think about it. But the edges of the fretboard itself, these feel okay. A little bit rough too, but okay. So maybe I would sand these a little bit. I would rate the playability of this guitar 4.5 out of 5. Now it's time to compare this EC-10 to some similar guitars. First I will compare it to this ESP LTD EC-256. Yes, it's a lot more expensive guitar, but surprisingly these have still some same hardware and qualities. First, the two main similarities. Both of these have plastic molded nut. You have to buy a lot more expensive ESP LTD Les Paul to get something else. And both have LTD tuners. And EC-10 has a way better tuners in my opinion than the most electric guitars in the under $200 price range. Then the differences. You have a little bit more ways to shape your tone on your guitar's end with EC-256 because it has volume knobs separately for both pickups. And one of the biggest differences are the pickups. I don't know the exact difference between these two. There is not a lot of info about these pickups on the internet, especially ESP doesn't give any info about this, almost any info. But when I did some research, I found out that most of the folks said that the neck pickup of the EC-256 has more output than the EC-10. So I don't know how accurate this is because I don't currently own the EC-256. I can't measure the output, but when I get my hands on it, I will measure it and reveal it to you guys. And I have played the EC-256 on the music store, and it sounds better in my opinion, with both distorted and clean tones. And EC-256 also has higher quality body woods, mahogany body and on the neck, and it has better feeling fretboard. EC-10's fretboard, it's not as smooth as I would want it to be, but EC-256 has more smoother and better feeling fretboard, definitely. And also how the neck is connected to the body is different between these two. EC-10 has bolted neck and the EC-256 has set through neck. And with the set through neck, body and neck usually have better connection to each other. And here price difference is definitely justified, but it's really nice to see that EC-10 has the same tuners and the nut than many $100s more expensive guitars. And then I'm comparing this EC-10 to Epiphone Les Paul Vintage Edition. Both of these have two humbuckers, but the ESP gives you more output with both pickups on and with the bridge pickups on. But in my opinion, the Vintage Edition Epiphone Les Paul Special, it gives you better cleans and maybe even is better with some parts of the crunch tones. And the EC-10 in my opinion has the smoother and better feeling neck, but the Special Edition has the smoother and better feeling fretboard. So playability wise these are kind of similar. Maybe Epiphone Les Paul Special, it's better when you are finger picking, but when you are playing some faster solos, the EC-10 is better. And one of the biggest differences are the tuners. EC-10 has those great quality tuners it stays tuned well, but Epiphone Les Paul Special Vintage Edition doesn't stay tuning well. I hope that Epiphone would upgrade these tuners for the weathers. And plus EC-10 has that kickback included, and I think that the price difference is justified, and EC-10 is overall the better quitter of these two. But if the Epiphone would have better tuners out of the box, and Epiphone would also fix those uneven frets, I think that Epiphone would be my favorite out of these two. Sound-wise, I think that this scooter is kind of one trick pony. This is built for metal, in my opinion. When I compare this to Epiphone Les Paul that I recently reviewed in the same price range, the pickups of that scooter and the sound a lot more versatile with this one. The crank sections that I played, kind of dull, lacks brightness, and gentle cleans are also a little bit dull. This is built for metal. When you put some distortion onto your tone, then this starts to shine. If you want a lot of versatility from your under $200 scooter, this is probably not for you, in my opinion. But of course you can change these pickups for the better. If I would decide to keep this, stick with this for a long time, then I would probably change these pickups. I would rate the sound of this scooter, keeping the versatility and the price of this scooter in mind, 3.5 out of 5. 10 the value for money. I think that this is kind of stable package. Nice tuners, a lot better than with Epiphone. That's the reason why I think that this is overall better scooter out of the box. But the sound is kind of not versatile. It's okay with cleans and crunch, but yeah, it's built for metal. Overall build and the hardware are pretty solid, and yeah, I think that this scooter offers nice value for money. And also there's the kickback included. It's quite thin kickback, but still it protects your scooter for small bumps. So I would rate the value for money with this scooter 4 out of 5. 10 the overall score of this axe. I think the best features of this scooter are the smooth neck, the feel of the body, great tuners, good quality hardware for this price. The solderings were done nicely, all is well attached, all is working great. Some minor issues, some uneven frets didn't cause me any trouble, and then a little bit rough edges on the fretboard. Then the pickups and the tones of this scooter are kind of built for metal, and if you want to play soft rock, blues, jazz, country, classic rock, this scooter just doesn't offer you so much versatility. Overall, I would rate this scooter 3.7 out of 5. And of course, I always forget to mention something important. Would I recommend this scooter? If you are looking for an electric scooter that is under 200 and you want to get nice distorted tones with it, this is a great option. I would recommend this to you, especially if you are looking for a singlet option. This provides really good metal tones. And the next review of mine will be about Jackson GS 2020 Dinky, and it's kind of cool competitor to this one. It's built the metal and distorted tones in mind too. So if you don't want to miss that review, subscribe. So if you want the scooter under $200 and you want to play distorted tones with it, metal with it, this is a great option. And you can always upgrade these pickups later. So check the latest price of this scooter by clicking the link in the description. It helps me a lot and helps me to produce more scooter content. And subscribe for more, and hopefully I will see you soon.